I'm Rob Skinner, and this is the Rob Skinner Podcast. Listen today as I talk to David Hedrick. David is forming a team to plant a new church in Rome, Italy in the spring of 2025. In this episode, he talks about what inspired him to plant a church in Rome, what challenges he sees for those on the team, how he's forming the team, what it's like to plant a church at the age of 64, what challenges he's faced over his life as a Christian, and what a person needs to know if they want to join the team. All this and more on the Rob Skinner Podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner Podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no-regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. I want to give a shout out to Melanie Yu. Melanie has been a supporter of this program for several years, and she recently helped support the program with a generous gift, and I really appreciate her support and encouragement, and it's made such a huge difference in keeping this program going. If you'd like to help support this program, I'd like to ask you to make a gift. You can just go to the show notes. There's a link there to, it's called Buy Me a Coffee. You can help support the program that way. Thank you so much for that. David, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Rob. Good to see you. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. We've known each other probably, I guess, a couple of years, and I know that you've been working. We've contacted each other off and on over that time as you build the church or the planting to Rome. But let me start off this interview with this question: how'd you become a Christian?
Well, that's a good story. Let's see. I was in Indiana, and I was wanting to be a dancer. So I really believe God put it on my heart to go to New York City. So I went to New York City. I met a mutual friend from Indianapolis who became a Christian a couple years before I got there. And so we were going to a show at the Metropolitan Opera House, and we saw her. She was ushering, and it was like, "Hey, Maria, how are you? ¿Cómo está?" and all that. And she said, "Hey, how are you guys doing?" So we had some, small talk there, and then she invited us out to this group of friends that was meeting on Thursday afternoon. She didn't say it was church. She was like, "Yeah, you should come out. It's at 2:30 Thursday afternoon. I know you have a performance at night." And it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. What is it, really? So what ended up happening, I went to Italy. I went to the Spoleto Festival with the New York City Ballet. And while I was there, my wife started studying the Bible with, I don't know, people like Debbie McIntosh and Salbergs and a lot of different people. So she became a Christian while I was in Italy.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I was like, what cult have you gotten yourself involved with? Like, come on.
Right.
Who does that? She was an atheist from a intellectual background. Her dad was a doctor in Nashville, Tennessee. So so she came over and she was radically different. Radically different. And I was like, well, I probably need to check this out when I go back. So I went back. The church in New York was fairly young. It was, I became a Christian in 88. And so they were just starting an arts ministry. And so I went, and I liked it. I felt like it was totally different than my upbringing. And I was like, man, if this is the real deal, I want some of this. And so, started coming out and met Sherwin McIntosh, a couple other people, Steve Kennards, and my buddies, Steve Johnson, and started studying the Bible. And about 6 months later, it took me a while to repent of some sin that I had in my life and, get open about my life and pledge a clear conscience towards God. It took me a while. Right. So 6 months later, I became a Christian.
Okay, so you were already married, and how long were you married for at that time?
It was probably just a couple years.
Okay.
So we were going through some rough spots, and so yeah, it was a couple years before we became Christians there in New York.
And your
So yeah,
your wife's name is?
it's my first wife,
Oh,
Sarah.
that's your first wife. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I've had two. You know, I'm on the second one, so
Okay.
I'm doing really well on this one.
Okay, good. Praise God.
I learned some stuff from the last one.
Good.
So yeah,
That's great.
yeah. So
Okay, so may I ask how old you are?
I'm 64.
Okay, you're 64. Okay, I just got to go. Whoa, wait a second. You're
What?
64 and you're going
I'm
to plant a
64.
church.
Yes, next year.
I mean, you look fantastic. I mean, to be honest with you, you look like you're in an advertisement for, how to get shredded in your 50s or something like that.
Oh, please.
You are looking really, really fit. That's awesome. I hope I look like you at your age.
Well, that's kind. You're very, very kind. Part of it is I have to stay fit because when I came back to church, I got remarried, and I have a 6-year-old son. So you can do the math.
You have a 6-year-old son now?
Yes.
This is getting more interesting by the minute.
So yeah, here it is, Rob. Here it is. I have a 6-year-old son. I adopted a girl from Shanghai. She's 24.
Okay.
My eldest son is 31. And my eldest son and my youngest son, they were born on the same day, 25 years apart.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
Yeah. So
well, it makes it easy for remembering birthdays,
It does. God was very gracious to me, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So
yeah, so they're all spread out, almost a decade apart. Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you became a Christian in 88. Tell me where have you been since then? What have you done? Have you been in New York City the whole time? Just give me the quick rundown of where you've been since. That's almost 40 years.
I know, 35. Yeah. Don't rush it, Rob. Don't rush it. Gee whiz. That's been 80 years now. Yeah, so we became a Christian in New York. I was working at the time. She was working. Went into the ministry a couple years later. Went to Nashville. Came back to New York. We were leading Long Island at the time. Then my dad got sick, and really sick, so he came up to New York for about 3 years. So, and then during that time, we were going through some hard kind of spiritual things. In relationship things. So eventually I left the ministry, got out of the ministry, left the church for about 6-7 years. And then got a call from Steve Johnson one night when I was in Florida. And we talked for about 4 hours, and there were a lot of apologies and a lot of tears. And so we cried and talked. And so after that, I was like, I want to come home. I want to come home spiritually. I was missing my spiritual family. I was missing my relationship with God. I knew this was my family. I knew this was my spiritual family. And there wasn't really anywhere else for me to go. I tried to go other places, but it just wasn't the same. So I came back, met Toby. She studied the Bible, became a Christian in Nashville. And then, I did some real estate, did some other things on the side when I was out of the church. And then decided to go back and get my MDiv at Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee. Moved down to North River, met Tom Brown. We had a similar background, related really well to each other. He put me in the ministry back in North River. That's in Atlanta, Georgia. And then there was a spot that came up here in Chattanooga that needed some help. My other 2 kids were in Nashville at the time. So geographically, it was closer to see them as well. So yeah, we've been here 7.5 years in Chattanooga.
Okay, so
yeah, I've been all over.
So you're in New York City. You were in the ministry during that time. You led Long Island for a period of time. When did you leave the church? When did you leave? What year was that?
Oh, it was like 2001.
Okay, 2001. Then you're gone for like 6 years. Then, and during that time, you're in Florida. Is that right?
Yeah, I was in Florida. I was in Nashville. I was in Florida, and while I was in Florida, I went through a couple rehabs because I got addicted to pain medicine. I had some injuries because of my career, and so went down to Florida, and then and that's when I started coming back. Started to go to the Florida church, and then we moved back to Nashville, and started coming back to church there in Nashville.
That's
And then from
awesome.
Nashville down to North River.
Okay, so you met your next wife, Toby, that's her name, in
Toby
Nashville.
in Florida. No, actually
Oh,
in Florida.
in Florida. Okay, and what year
Yeah.
were you guys married?
2000. Oh no, Rob, why did you ask me that? I'm not going to let Toby see this. 2000. What is it? 2004, 2012. Yeah, yeah.
It was a memorable year.
It was totally.
Now you're a
I remember it like it was yesterday.
You're a dancer by trade, right? Isn't that your original calling?
Yeah, dancer by trade. Graduated from the Juilliard School of Music.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, so that's where we became Christians. We started a Bible talk there at Juilliard, and it was extremely fruitful. And then after that, went into the ministry, and then went to Nashville and kind of reworked the church there in Nashville, and started an arts ministry there, and it went from like 18 to 100, like in 3 years.
Wow.
It just exploded. We had so much fun.
That's crazy. Juilliard, I mean, wasn't there a TV show? Wasn't it called Fame, or a movie about people who are going to Juilliard?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was, and it's almost just like that if you ever seen the movie.
And, there were so many shows, especially, I know I'm dating myself, during the 80s, there was Flash Dance. There's so many shows about dancing.
I know. I don't know why. I don't know why the 80s was about putting on dance shows.
That's awesome. Okay, that explains your fitness. Okay, and your appearance. Okay, got it. All right. So you're used to being in front of people. You like to entertain. That's awesome. Okay, so you've been married to Toby for 12 years. You have a 6-year-old son.
Correct. You got it, Rob. Good job.
Okay, trying to keep it all together.
I know it's hard. It's hard to keep it all together for sure.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. Now, what in the world got you interested in Rome, Italy? I mean, you've been in New York City, you've been in the Southeast. Rome?
California. Rome. Like I said, when I was in my 20s, I visited Rome quite a bit. Visited Italy. Fell in love with the culture, fell in love with the people, fell in love with the language, and of course the arts, the history. I'm a big history buff. I love history. So I really fell in love with the country, the people, the language, the music, the arts in my 20s. And then when I became a Christian a few years ago, I just started praying. I was like, God, I want to do something. I want to do something different with my life. I feel like you have a calling on my life, and I feel like you have something else for me to do. I know I'm a little bit older. I know, I know people my age are retiring and buying a house by the lake, but that's not for me. I don't think disciples. It's not to say you can't have a house by the lake, but as disciples, we have that calling upon us to make disciples.
Okay, so let me just ask you some questions. I mean, first of all, you're right. Most people at the age of 64, the Beatles wrote a song about that. When I'm 64,
I know it's a very popular age.
Most people are shutting down the store. They're pulling the blinds down. It's time to buy the RV to travel the U.S. To go to Costa Rica and stay for a couple weeks, not to plant a church.
Okay. Yeah, not to plant a church. Now there's some Old Testament guys that
You're taking it totally. We're talking Caleb. We're talking Moses.
Oh yeah. They have a few years on me, but yeah, we do have some examples, right? There's a few.
I mean, I love the attitude, but how do you get the motivation? I mean, where's the energy coming from?
Well, I just feel like it comes from my relationship with God.
Okay.
I feel like that I think God put something inside of each one of us to do something great. And it might be here in the United States, it might be international. But for me, if I don't listen to that urging, if I don't listen to the push, that's when I get old.
Mm.
That's when I get stale. That's when I feel like life is, the shadows are coming into your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it comes from staying on the team and staying on the field and digging into your Bible and digging into prayer and what does God want for me to do? Not
That's
what
awesome.
David wants, not what David wants to do, but what does God want me to do?
Okay. Now let me
So
ask you about that, because what you said there is you said, I felt like God was calling me to do it. Okay. Was there something specific? Because people wonder, like, is God calling me to go there? How
right,
did
right.
how did you know? What was it? Was there like a flicker of a light at night? Was there a lightning bolt? Was there some type of event? Was there a thought that came into your mind? What was it when you go, I got to go to Rome?
Well, that would have been cool, Rob, to see Jesus on the road to Damascus. But
That's right.
but like I told you last year or the year before, I was just praying one day, and the thought came, like, what about Rome? You want to do something different and impactful with your life. What about Rome? And I said, well, what about Rome? And so I started to investigate. There was a girl that was baptized when I first became a Christian in the '90s, who went on the mission planting to Milan, Elisa. And so I made a few phone calls, contacted her, and then she had a dream for Rome. There's been a lot of people dreaming to plant a church in Rome for years
Right.
upon years upon years. And those people have really come out of the woodwork. You asked me earlier about where did I get my referrals, but I think God has just put it on people's hearts. And so I started walking through open doors. I feel like to listen to God's calling, you got to walk through open doors. You got to activate your faith. When one door shuts, I do believe another door opens. And so I just believe God made it clear through the people I was talking with, the counsel I was getting, the support that started to, um, you know, gather around me. Um, and I just kept praying about it. I said, God, just make it clear. And so we put together this little group, this Rome group on Zoom. A girl in Boston was going over there quite a bit, working. And so Bernie came aboard, and so we started this little Zoom Rome group once a month meeting, and it just grew. It just grew to, I think we have over 50 people on that group now.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
did
So
you already, do you speak Italian?
we're learning Italian.
Okay. So
We're learning
you're
Italian.
learning.
No, we don't speak.
You
Yeah.
didn't have the language under your belt already.
No, no,
Okay.
no. Just a little bit.
But no other connections other than some disciples from back in the day who were from Italy. But other than that, just kind of a desire. Hey, this would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a desire. There weren't any connections at that moment where we were, really praying about it. And Toby started praying about it, and she wanted to do it. So I just felt like God was making it clear, but no relational connections as of yet.
Okay.
But since then we've got quite a few
Wow.
relationships started. Yeah, because of that group.
Okay, so you decided to start forming a team. You started a Zoom group. Talk to me a little bit about some of the things you've done to build a team and to to grow a group that wants to go. You formed a Zoom group. How are you advertising? How are you letting people know about this?
Well, I think how do we go about it? I think it first starts with a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to listen to your dreams. Um, and then and it was just word of mouth. It was getting on the phone, it was calling, it was praying. It was last year we went to Italy. My wife and I, Amy and Eli, and then Larry and Marcia, who live over there in Sicily, who used to work for Hope Worldwide. And so they live over in Sicily right now. They sold their house in Atlanta about 8 years ago and moved over there permanently. So they came aboard, and they've been a part of a group. And so it was just word of mouth. It was just like, Bernie knows this person, Larry and Marcia knows this person, and Aaron and Lyndall came aboard, and it was just kind of a snowball effect, persevering through, some of the obstacles that we faced. But just persevering and word of mouth and talking to people, praying for the team and praying for people that were coming on the team and coming on Zoom. And,
right.
it was just all of those things combined together that helped.
How many people do you have committed now to go on the team?
We have 14 people committed from all around the world. We have 14 people. And then we have, there's a group from Boston, Rob, that goes every year to the Milan church for a month, about 8 campus students. And then Murphy, the guy who leads it. So they go every year. So what we did this year was that we planned the expedition around the Milan retreat, which is May 31st, June 1st, June 2nd, that weekend. So a few of us are going out there to the retreat. Then we're all meeting in Rome June 4th through the 10th. And there's still time. I mean, if you want to come, there's still time, because the flights are relatively still inexpensive, and there's still room to get in Rome. But then what I was saying about the campus.
So let me back you up real quick. So when are you planting it the next month?
We are the expedition is June 4th through the 10th. And so 14 of us are going to meet there in Rome.
Okay.
And then the campus group from Boston is coming down from Milan June 4th through the 6th. So they're coming down, and then John's coming down from Milan, and then Mathis is coming over from the European Mission Society. So we'll probably have 25 people coming in and out of Rome on, from the period from June 4th through the 10th. So this is the expedition that we're doing this year. Next year, we're planning to move over there. We're working on our visas. And so the goal of this year is to build a team, build relationships within that team, meet a bunch of people, have a bunch of fun, eat a bunch of food, and just see God work and God move. And then from there, next year, we're hoping in the spring, visas, everything work out, a bunch of us will move over there next spring.
Okay, that's exciting. I mean, there's not a more romantic city than Rome.
No.
I just go, whoa. I mean, wow. Who wouldn't want to go there? So this year is a short-term missions, exploratory. We're going to check the place out. We're going to share our faith, preach the word, and then get people excited about, give people a vision, hands-on, like, what this is going to be like, and then give it a year. That's sounds like a great idea to get the planting going next spring. Next June is when you're thinking?
Yeah, next spring. Yeah, the idea came from Mathis. I don't know if you know Mathis, but we put a little group together, the Rome Project. So we had Jeff from Madrid, we had John from Milan, we had Mathis from Frankfurt, Frederick from he's in France somewhere. So we were talking about what would be the best plan, and they did something like that in Frankfurt. Mathis got a few people together, did kind of an expedition, and then the following year, they went ahead and planted the church. I think if you plant the dream, if we can just get a hold of those campus students and plant the dream of seeing God work in Italy, and then the people that are coming from all around the world internationally, the 14 of us, just getting to know them, build family, build relationships, meet some people in the neighborhoods that we're looking at to start. Visit a few schools that we're visiting a few schools while we're over there. So that's the goal. That's the goal this year.
That's so awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we're excited.
Now, I mean, Rome, I mean, so many historical milestones there. I mean, it's got so much religious history there. I mean, so much just history, period. What are some of the challenges you think you're going to face in planting that church?
Well, there'll be quite a few, but I like to think of challenges as opportunities.
There you go.
Of course.
That's spoken as a true planter right there.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, that's kind of how.
Eternal optimism. I love it.
Okay, okay. Well, um, that's how I think about life. I just think that that's the way God works. Yeah, the obstacles, of course, would be the language. There's going to be a language barrier. We're going to have probably 4 or 5 people that can speak fluent Italian on the team. And then I don't know about the campus folks coming down, but I think the language is going to be one. Just the Catholicism, how thick it is to be Roman, is to be a Catholic, basically. 89% of the population in Italy claim to be Catholics, but only about 27% go consistently. The mean age of men in Italy is 50 and above, which is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of fascinating.
Well, you're gonna fit right in.
Oh yeah, I'm totally there. I'm perfect. I'm perfect for the team.
God has designed you for this mission team. This is awesome.
Hey, for all you late bloomers out there, you can still do it.
I love it.
But yeah, just I think those will be probably the two. And then you have, just the politics and the red tape when it comes to visas, and you have to jump through a lot of hoops. It's just a lot of hoops to just think about. Moving over there, you can stay 6 months without a visa. So we're hoping that we're going to have people come over for 6 months, 3 months at a time, and then try to get some folks that will do a 1-year challenge, and then maybe some folks that come over on a student visa. The university there, right downtown Rome, is a population's 120,000 students. That's a big campus. So we're hoping that we can get some campus folks out, get on a student visa, which is the easiest visa to acquire. So I think those will too, and I think just being lonely. You're 6,000, 4,000 miles away from anything that's familiar to you.
Right.
But it does have a tendency, I'm assuming, to bond the group that's over there, because you're going over there for one reason. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's amazing. Yes, it's historical. Yes, every moment's exciting over there. But you are a long ways from home. And so I think those 3 things I've been thinking about will be challenging.
Yeah.
My parents a little bit older, and, just, all those things.
Yeah. Now let's talk about money. Where's the
Let's
money coming from? How are you going to be supported? How are team members going to be supported? How are you getting the team over there? There's a lot of money involved in a planting. You got to get new housing. You have to find a new location. You have to get some basic equipment, some simple advertising, marketing stuff. Where's the money coming from?
Well, I haven't read your chapter on from your book. I do have your book, though. I was going to read that chapter so I could answer this for some kind of intelligence or education. But as of now, all of us are self-supporting Gover this year. I know some people have raised some money. I've gotten some very generous sponsors this year.
Awesome.
Yes, to go over there. So that's been exciting. So everybody is self-supporting this year. Next year, probably what's going to happen is Toby will keep her job. She works remotely right now. She works for a law firm in Atlanta. So we'll see how the hours work out. But they said she could still work remotely from Italy, so that would be cool as a starter. I would like to personally maybe work part-time in the ministry and then part-time at a university teaching dance. And so that would be ideal.
Right.
So that's where that money would come from. Aaron and Lyndall, who are planning to move over, he has a remote job. He's an IT person, so he would be keeping that job. So far, we don't have any financial. We haven't really knocked on too many doors as far as financial backing for the team next year. Although we will. I know North River has said they would like to support the planting next year, or part of it, or half. Whatever that looks like, whatever we need. But yeah, I think it will be through private donations and a few church organizations, and possibly the EMS.
Right. Okay. I was going to ask about the European Mission Society. Have they offered any commitments of financial support to help you?
Not yet, but they are thinking about it. It wasn't on their top 10 list as far as planting Rome, because I know they're working on other plantings over there, supporting, encouraging, building up what's already been planted. But since this whole Rome expedition and Rome planting has come, basically been put on their table. Yes, they're in the mix. Let's just say that they're in the mix. I don't want to overstep.
Sure, of course.
But yeah, they're in the mix. They're definitely in on the planning. They're supporting. They're praying. They're coming down to join us. So I think they want to just see the team. I think they want to see Rome. I think Milan is the same thing. We're wanting to work very closely with Milan and get some. So they will be help planting the church. So that's part of the reason we're going up to the retreat before the expedition, is to build those relationships. We have a meeting with the leadership team next Friday there at the retreat. So just building those relationships, I feel like, is very important at this stage.
Oh, yeah. Man, big time.
Right.
Well,
you know better than I do.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's just awesome and exciting what you're doing there.
I
just have to comment on that world map behind you. That just is throwback to the 80s. I mean, every disciple had a world map somewhere in their room, just dreaming, let's take the world. So I love it. I just think that vision, and I love the fact that you're in your 60s dreaming big. And
you love that? You love that, Rob?
I just think it's just fantastic. I think more people should do it. And I just go, well, when's it ever been easier to go overseas to do something because of COVID, because of the ability to work remotely in information technology, working from your computer? I just go, man, digital nomads are everywhere. If you travel anywhere outside the country, you see Americans all over the place and other people all over the place. I go, man, it's never been easier to cross barriers and get into different countries. So I think it's really exciting.
That's encouraging.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What would a person need to do if they were interested in joining you?
Well, definitely give me a call. My phone number is 615-828-1236. My email address is David E. Hedrick, Hedrick, @yahoo.com. You can find me on WhatsApp. You can find me on Instagram. You can. So I think those would be the best way.
Okay.
Text me.
I'll put all of those
great,
numbers in the show notes so you can find those.
Awesome.
What advice would you give to a person who wants to make this life count?
Well, I think follow your dreams. I mean, I think you got to follow your heart. I think you got to, I just think you can't be afraid of getting out of your comfort zone and doing something different. I think you need to believe that God is not done with you yet. God has great plans for you. Our theme scripture is Ephesians 3:20, that God can do immeasurably more. He's able to do immeasurably more than we ask or imagine.
Right.
And just really believing that and then acting upon that. I think fear stops us from doing a lot of things.
Yep.
Not believing that God is going to be with me, or not believing that God is Well, how do you know that God's with you? Well, uh, just read your Bible. Just meditate on those scriptures. Meditate on those scriptures that you find in Romans 8 and Ephesians 3:20 and Psalm 27 and Psalm 18 and all those scriptures that really encourage us that God's not done with us yet.
That's right.
And that's exciting.
It is very exciting. And it reminds me of my favorite poem, and it's written by Alfred Lord Tennyson called Ulysses. And in that poem, I've actually have a poster right here in my room, and it's always inspired me, but even more as I get older, because it's basically saying it's written by Ulysses, and he talks about returning after 20 years of war in Troy and then trying 10 years to get back to his hometown in Ithaca. Finally gets there, then he realizes he's built for adventure. And so he spends 3 years at home, and then he decides it's time to set out. And so he talks to his men and he says, let's get in the boat and let's go out and make a difference. We're not what we once were, but that which we are, we are.
Oh, I love that.
And it really inspires me. And I feel like you're doing the same type of thing with the same spirit that Ulysses had there in that poem. So I want to wish you all the best.
Thank you,
David,
sir.
and all the support I can give you. And let me know what I can do to help. And if you need to reach David, I will leave the information on the show notes. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Love you.
Thanks for listening. Here's how you can help support the program. First of all, let your friends know about it. Secondly, read and please review one of my books, either How to Plant and Grow a Church or Courage, How to Make This Life Count. You can find them on Amazon. And if you've already read one of those books, I'd really like to ask you to take the time to go to the website and just hit on the review and just write a review. It makes such a difference. There's just so many encouraging reviews already, but I'd like to get more so people can find the books. Also, you can support the program directly by going to the show notes, and there'll be a link there for how you can support the program financially. Thank you so much. Because my goal is to inspire you to make this life count, live a no regrets life, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Have a great day, and make this life count.